like a year to get a cartoon made these days.
Yeah, like you got, I don't know how many drawings, like 700 drawings for so many seconds of film or something.
And that's what you look at how much you look at those old, like, you got to think a Looney Tunes short was about 7 minutes long. It was only 7 minutes long. But
Yeah,
all the
thousands
animation, that's
of drawings,
thousands
man.
of drawings, man, and that they had to flip through. And even like you think that, but then you think about the old Disney animated movies and how long it would take a Disney to bring out an animated movie, because you're talking about a
Oh yeah,
full-length
man.
picture.
Think of like Snow White, especially like the first one. They didn't even really know what they were doing,
Disney's
and
Folly is what they called it. Disney's
yeah,
Folly.
and they went into that and made a masterpiece, man. And it's like you don't. It's weird to me that nobody's doing no studio is doing it at all. When you would think that people that appreciate animation, there's more people that appreciate animation now and voice work and stuff than there's ever been.
Yeah.
And you think there'd be somebody that would be like, we don't want to lose this truly awesome form of art, and somebody would be doing it. But it's like you just don't, like, everything you see on Cartoon Network and all that shit's all computer done. It's all pretty much garbage. And I mean, some of it's good. I mean, I watch it. It's funny, but I mean, it's not like the quality of like the Looney Tunes or like the old Disney stuff. And it's like, man, I can't believe nobody does it. You think somebody would.
I mean, now I will say out of the newer, like, I like that Looney Tunes show that Cartoon Network had a little while ago, where it was like set in suburbia, where Daffy and
that was pretty good.
I actually liked that. I thought that was funny. It still had the essence of the Looney Tunes to it. Yeah, it wasn't. A lot of people think, well, they weren't as slapsticky, but if you really go back and you look at Looney Tunes cartoons, yeah, there was slapstick, but there was a lot of talking to get to the slapstick.
There's just a lot of absurd, like, ironic humor in that series. It was funny. But does the Miyazaki or whatever that guy? Did they still hand? Yeah, did they still
so.
hand draw? Do they hand draw all those?
The Studio Ghibli stuff, yeah.
I think that maybe Japan still does it. That's fucking impressive. Especially that style is fucking amazing. I mean, like, I know Akira took, like, what was it, like 12 years or something to make Akira, just to draw it.
And Akira's that is still a masterpiece. I mean, it was really one of the first animes anybody really knew about here, at least in our neck of the woods.
Yeah, it was like that and Robotech Macross. That was like all I was aware of it when I was a kid.
And then later on, they would show Dragon Ball like early in the morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning. Dragon Ball would be on like the Warner Brothers network or something like that. But even then, it was like the Ocean dub, and it was horrible and changing characters' names and shit. But the classic
editing it,
the editing stuff. We can't show Goku's penis as he pees in a lake. Okay, I've got that shit. But it's like, where did the comedy go? Where did the comedy go? There's still shows that are good. I mean, we talk Teen Titans Go and how funny that is.
Yeah, I love it, and that's another one that relies on a lot of the voice talent, because you got the old actual Teen Titans voices from the old series, and they're doing these like crazy character versions of themselves.
I mean, I think when you're talking about Looney Tunes and things like that, you have, especially for people like us that grew up with those cartoons, we have the voices in our heads. They are the true voices, and it was all, for the most part, one guy. It was Mel Blanc.
Yeah, and it's the same with like the Muppets too. Like I can't stand that guy that's Kermit the Frog now. It doesn't sound anything like Kermit the Frog to me.
Yeah. Don't even get me started. They're bringing back Muppet Babies, right?
Really? Like another property they're going to milk to death?
Yeah, but get this. Here's what's been going on social media. This happened like a week ago. Like I said, I've been out of it because of my knee. But, so apparently it came out, they're redoing the Muppet Babies. But they're adding in a new character who's like a girl penguin. And she's supposed to be like the girly character to, like, she's like the girly side to Miss Piggy's more tomboyish side. But they're getting rid of Skeeter, which was Scooter's twin in the original Muppet Babies. The only thing that character was ever in was like that and like some golden books. And people are up in arms because they got rid of this character. And of course the producers are like, well, this character's going to be great, this new penguin character, and it's the same, it's just...
Penguin makes more sense. There's a lot of penguins in the Muppets. I don't recall the made-up character, so who cares?
Now, personally, I think it should have been a chicken. That way we could actually find out the deep-seated roots of why Gonzo loves chicken so much. That would have been funny. But yeah, so
If I
they're bringing
remember
that
right,
back.
that and the Smurfs were in between Spider-Man, or was in between me getting to Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends on Saturday morning. So I fucking hated both of those cartoons. I was like, get
See,
this
I
shit
loved the
off of my screen. Bring Spider-Man on here.
See, I love Muppet Babies because they would always do like Star Wars references and Indiana Jones references and Back to the Future references.
Well, wasn't that Marvel Entertainment?
Yeah,
Wasn't that a Marvel show? Because
yeah,
at the end, this little Spider-Man icon would pop down.
yeah. And then, of course, the Smurfs were Hanna-Barbera, and I mean, I liked the Smurfs. I love the stories of the Smurfs. Who didn't? I mean, it was, other than you, you hate the Smurfs. You know.
Just I don't know. I don't know. It just wasn't for me.
Another property that they tried
I
to
was
make
real
into
into
movies.
superheroes back then, and that shit was just in my way.
Another property they tried to make into movies, and they just fuck it all up. I'm sorry, if I want a Smurfs movie, I want a movie about the Smurfs. I don't want a 2-hour long movie about why Neil Patrick Harris is going to be a good father.
Yeah, well, they tried it and it failed, didn't it? Then the animated one, everybody said it was shit.
I've watched the animated one, the Lost Village one. It's not for like I said, for a kids movie, it's not bad. For a kids movie, like go in there with kid eyes, and it's actually not that bad.
Well,
Go in there with
it seemed to
adult
me
eyes.
it would have to be better. It seemed to me because it actually takes place in their time and in their place. Like, the ones in the city, I'm like, what the hell is this?
Now,
This doesn't make any sense.
I think my biggest gripe was, I thought Hank Azaria in the live action films did a pretty good Gargamel. I thought he did a
Yeah.
really good Gargamel. So Rainn Wilson took over Gargamel for the animated one, and it just was not the same. Because
Yeah.
once again, it's that voice. You heard it growing up as a kid. You know that Gargamel voice, and Hank Azaria was just so good at it. You know, bringing in somebody else to do something completely different. I understand, make it your own, but still, it's kind of that's where they talk about legacy voices. Is that you can't have Bugs Bunny, and you know what Bugs Bunny sounds like, and then have an actor come in and go, you know what? Instead Bugs Bunny's gonna talk like this. What's up, Doc? Yo, what's up, Doc? You know, you can't have that. It's a legacy voice. It's a voice that was established, and that's what they are. And there's little variations to it,
Or
but for the
Scooby-Doo just speaking English properly.
see, and that's the thing. What?
Hello, Shaggy.
It
I'm
was
Scooby-Doo.
well, what Don Messick was the original. Was it Don Messick who was the original Scooby Doo?
Ah, shit, I got no idea.
I want to say it was Don Messick who was Scooby Doo, and then I think Don Messick passed away. I want to say, and then I think Frank Welker took it over. I'm checking right now.
Voice acting in the '80s was weird, man. Cause like what they did with I watched the Phalis on the Real Ghostbusters, like his whole series on Real Ghostbusters, and how they changed. Now they redubbed the voices with Full House dude Dave Coulier. Like, why the fuck would you do that?
Oh yeah.
It's just dumb, and he was terrible. He was a terrible
Okay.
Pinkman.
Yeah, so Don Messick voiced Scooby from 69 to 96. And now, since 2002, it's been Don Messick. And, Frank Welker passed, or Frank Welker's doing it now. Don Messick passed away in 97. But that's the whole thing, is like, Frank Welker's Scooby-Doo sounds so different than Messick's Scooby-Doo. It's kind of like you listen to, like Phalis, I think he was doing something about the Garfield shows, and Garfield was voiced by Lorenzo Music, just like Peter Venkman was in the Real Ghostbusters. And then Frank Welker took over again, and I like Frank Welker. Frank Welker's an amazing, voice artist. He's a freaking amazing. But his Garfield, it's like he's trying to do a Lorenzo Music impersonation.
Yeah.
But if you listen to that one, but then go listen to like Maurice LaMarche do a Lorenzo Music impersonation, and Marsh's is like so much better. You know,
It's weird. It's weird that
Dave Coulier. When Dave Coulier took over that role, God, all I heard was Dave Coulier. I didn't hear Venkman. All I heard was Dave Coulier. God damn him.
It's weird that it went full circle and Bill Murray did Garfield's voice in a movie.
That is
after the guy that does Garfield.
And you know what?
His character in a cartoon.
Those movies were shit, other than Jennifer Love Hewitt. She is a goddess among everybody. But those movies were shit, but I liked Bill Murray as now I thought it was kind of stupid that you had Garfield as an animated CG cat in those movies, and then Odie's a real dog. You should have had that kind of threw me off. Odie should have been Odie. He should have been the dumb.
Yeah. That was more like a Garfield. That was more like a Garfield cartoon special though than say like the Smurfs. Like with those Smurfs movies where they're in the city. It's like I said with the Woody Woodpecker thing. You could literally just take a generic plot and plug any old cartoon character into it at that point, and it's the same fucking movie. It doesn't make it. They could have put Woody Woodpecker in the Neil Patrick Harris movie. It would have been the same fucking movie.
Yeah, next thing you know, Huckleberry Hound is gonna have to stop. Something going on or some shit. His hat was stolen, and his hat's worth like $50 million or something.
Yeah, just show me some slapsticky characters. That was the weird issue I had with the Hanna-Barbera comics. That the Snagglepuss.
Yeah.
It was like, it just seemed like a weird thing to plug Hanna-Barbera characters into. It's like, why that, like, you could put any cartoon characters from any show into those roles, and it would have been the same story. There was nothing inherently Snagglepuss about it. Like, he didn't say exit stage left or whatever. He didn't do anything.
Murgatroyd.
Nothing. I think he might have made a slight reference to one of the phrases in there at some point, but it just had nothing to do with what the character is. I mean, whatever. I mean, make him whatever you want, but I mean, at least it should have been funny. It's not a funny story.
It's like we saw Peter Potamus in there. We saw the weird human face Squiddly Diddly.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's next? Are we gonna see Yappy Yahooey? Are we gonna see Touche Turtle, Ricochet Rabbit?
I don't get it. I've never been a fan of crossovers. I've never been a fan of mashups of things. That's why I didn't really like that story that had like Johnny Quest in it and all the Herculoids and all that shit.
That one wasn't bad. I'll admit that one wasn't bad because it was like them, the Herculoids, Space Ghost. That one wasn't bad.
See, I didn't read it because I'm just not a fan of like mashing stuff up like that. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense. And like with this DC line of Hanna-Barbera stuff, like the Flintstones one I read, and it's like I don't really like it that much. It's not that funny. It's more serious. It's like real life. It's like the Wilma and Fred having like a real, married people argument. It's like
they never had a married. Come on, Wilma was, and I'm not trying to sound bad or anything, but you think Wilma in the show, I mean, she was the loving wife, and she would get on Fred, but Wilma had her moments of stupidity, where she would charge tons and tons of money to their credit card going out shopping with Betty. And Betty was a hottie. I'm sorry, Betty was the hottest. Fuck, Barney got the best end of that stick. Even in the movies. I mean, that last, what was it, Viva Rock Vegas, where the what's her fucking face from Third Rock from the Sun played Wilma, and you're just sitting there like, ugh.
Well, the cartoon, like you said, it was an adult oriented. It was a more adult cartoon.
They smoked Winston cigarettes. Yeah, for prime time, and it wasn't meant for kids. So I mean, there are some more adult themes in the Flintstones, and it's still funny though. It's a comedy. It's a funny comedy, like this, almost The Simpsons of its day, like this serious take on Hanna-Barbera is the weirdest thing in the world to me because they're the silliest of all characters. Yeah.
And it just is this weird disconnect with me, and maybe I just don't get it, and some people do, but I thought the Snagglepuss story was just, the subject matter was way more serious than a big pink lion and a squid with a human face, and it was like, this is like McCarthy or like blackballing people shit. This is important storytelling, and it's weird to have this big pink lion with no pants on walking around.
It's like so weird, and then I think the other weird thing for me is that you look at these characters, and then in that book there's also sexuality in it, and it's like I don't really want to see sexuality with my Hanna-Barbera characters. Like I don't want to know who. Huckleberry
that's just weird. I don't know, man.
Like borderline, isn't that like borderline bestiality? What they're in that book?
I don't know what in the hell. I don't know if it's like is it? I don't know that is it wrong to say that I don't want to see a human dog hybrid like fuck people? I don't want that. And it's weird that it's on a DC title, it's kind of weird that they would put this out, and it's like definitely